Russia will remember this strike by the armed forces of Ukraine forever. Just imagine, 400 drones were launched simultaneously at Russian positions. As a result, more than 40 pieces of enemy equipment were destroyed. President Zelensky reported this. Meanwhile, there were hundreds of explosions in Moscow and the Moscow region. They say Moscow never sleeps, but after such attacks, Muscovites definitely won't be able to fall asleep for a long time. In particular, drones attacked a drone development plant in the Moscow region city of Dubna. Moscow Mayor Sobyanin, by the way, complained a lot after this strike. And here's another piece of bad news for Putin. Germany may provide Ukraine with resources to develop its own cruise missiles with a range of 2,500 kilometers. It seems the Kremlin should get ready. But there is also troubling news. Russia is amassing more than 50,000 troops in the Sumy direction. All the details are in our report. Another restless night in Russia. They say 200 drones. Moscow and the region are once again under UAV attack.
Knock on wood.
Let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Quiet, quiet, quiet.
Turn off the light.
Quiet, quiet, quiet.
In the morning, Zelenograd near Moscow came under a powerful strike. One of the hits landed on the Elma Technopark.
Cool!
A guy was just walking by there.
It's burning well.
There should be people there now.
Beautiful.
They work 24/7.
The Elma Technopark in Zelenograd is one of the leading centers where Russia assembles its UAVs. There was also a strike in the city of Dubna at the Kronstadt plant, which also specializes, among other things, in the development and production of drones.
Don't fall dash! Oh, quiet! Well, that's it already.
This is evidence that Ukroboronprom has increased and scaled up the production of strike drones. The Ukrainian side now has the capability to strike legitimate military targets on the territory of the Russian Federation, given the current situation. In other words, this is about the planned work of Ukraine's defense forces and Ukrainian intelligence. The strikes are being carried out on defense industry enterprises that are directly involved in the production of strike drones. An analysis of the latest strikes, Ukrainian UAVs.
And this is just the beginning. Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Russia will receive a mirror response to all attacks on Ukrainian cities.
Of course, we cannot publicly discuss our existing plans or our capabilities. But the outlook is clear: to respond in kind to all Russian threats and challenges. There in Russia, they must clearly feel the consequences of what they are doing against Ukraine. And that will happen. It will happen.
In addition, Germany and 3 other countries have reportedly lifted restrictions on Ukraine that previously prevented it from using Western weapons to strike deep into the territory of the aggressor country, Russia. At the same time, German Chancellor Merz clarified that the government had not made any new decisions.
The point is that the restrictions were lifted several months ago. Let's analyze Merz's statement. He says that the nature of military technical assistance to Ukraine should not be publicized in the media, but should take place quietly behind closed doors. This is absolutely the right rhetoric from the German Chancellor. The Russian Federation should not know either the nature of the military technical assistance provided to the Ukrainian Defense Forces or, accordingly, the technical and tactical specifications of the weapons supplied by our key partners for the needs of the armed forces of Ukraine.
Meanwhile, the Russian command is redeploying new forces to the border of the Sumy region, particularly from the eastern directions, according to analysts from the Institute for the Study of War. The occupiers also control 4 settlements in the Sumy region and continue their attempts to create a buffer zone.
At the moment, between 40 and 60,000 operational reserves of Russian troops are concentrated in the Sumy direction. However, it should be noted that the redeployment of personnel is primarily related to the sharp intensification of actions by the Ukrainian Defense Forces, not only in the Kursk direction, but also, accordingly, in the Belgorod and Bryansk directions. And this is evidence that the Russian Federation has acknowledged the fact that the operational tactical groupings of Bryanka, Belgorod, and Sudzha do not have enough units to accomplish the task of neutralizing the creation of a security zone, now a Ukrainian one, on the territory of the Russian Federation.
Moreover, according to the Washington Post, this summer Russia is planning to launch a large-scale offensive in the eastern part of the Donetsk region.
At the time of the so-called peace negotiations, including those in Istanbul, the Russian Federation sharply intensified military operations directly in the Donetsk direction. At the moment, the Russian Federation is considering several scenarios for itself. This involves capturing the 4 largest industrial centers in the Donetsk region that are under the control of Ukraine's defense forces: Kostiantynivka, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and Drushkivka. That is why, unsurprisingly, the focus of military operations during the so-called summer campaign will shift specifically to the Kostiantynivka direction.
Russia has also upgraded Iranian Shahed-type drones, equipping them with 90-kilogram warheads, which has increased their destructive power. As a result, in recent times, the occupiers' attacks have become larger in scale, the drones more deadly, and countering this new threat is becoming even more difficult. Well then, now let's analyze the operational situation on the much-suffering Pokrovsk front. The enemy continues its military terror. Since the beginning of the day on the Pokrovsk front, the occupiers have made 31 attempts to push our defenders from their positions in the areas of the settlements of Zarya, Popov Yar, Malinovka, Mirolubovka, Elizavetovka, Lisovka, Kotlino, Novosergevka, Udakhnoye, Troitskoye, and Andreevka. The defense forces are holding back the enemy's onslaught and have already stopped 27 attacks. And this was also a very difficult week for the Khmelnytskyi region. Enemy attacks damaged homes and infrastructure in Starokostiantynivka, and furthermore, Putin's inhumans killed 4 people in Krasiliv. There, a missile struck the home of an elderly couple. They died along with their neighbor and a 25-year-old woman who had come from Kiev for her sister's graduation. Another 7 people were injured. All the details will be reported and shown by TSN journalist Anna Makhno.
This is my beloved childhood home where I grew up and hold so many memories.
All that's left of this house in the city of Krasiliv are ruins. A Russian missile hit here. Inside were Victor's parents. They died.
Right in my mother's bedroom. Unfortunately, we can't even find her remains. The medical examiners barely found anything. My father's body is more or less intact.
The houses are destroyed. No roofs, doors, or windows. And nearby in this house, 23-year-old Marina was killed. She had come to congratulate her younger sister on her graduation.
She came from this house for just 1 day off from Kiev and spent the night here, resting until the morning light.
Valentina's husband also didn't manage to escape the Russian missile. She says she wasn't home at the time.
They found him under the rubble. The ceiling and a wall had collapsed on him.
There was a rumble, things were flying and exploding. No one in Krasiliv slept that night, says the head of the community.
It was a terrible, tragic night for our community. We survived by a miracle, simply because we managed to hide in the cellar in time. It was extremely loud. We were terrified in our cellar because everything was shaking.
The injured were taken to hospitals. Many, they say, were cut by shards of broken glass.
Look at what happened to the doors. I already cut my finger just by touching it.
And you already cut your hands?
Yes, I've already cut myself.
Medical staff treated 6 of the injured and sent them home. But a 74-year-old woman is still in intensive care. Her condition is serious but stable.
The diagnosis is polytrauma.
The diagnosis is polytrauma, pelvic bone fracture, degloving wounds of the torso, a fractured shoulder, and broken ribs. She is receiving medical care and is being prepared for surgery.
In Krasiliv, the commission counted more than 60 damaged houses, some of which are practically destroyed.
Our house is damaged. We are writing a statement about it. There's no roof, no windows, no doors.
This is at the city council. One after another, people come in with documents asking for compensation. As Olga says, only the walls are left of the house. They survived by a miracle. She shielded her 4-year-old daughter with her body and her husband covered them both.
We just huddled in the corner so the shrapnel didn't hit us. We wanted to run to another spot, but we didn't make it, because the second strike had already hit, then the third. We could see that everything at the neighbor's place was already on fire.
Not only houses were damaged, but other buildings on several streets as well. Tomorrow, an emergency session is being convened in the city.
We will allocate additional funds to our municipal services, which unfortunately have also been affected. The administrative building of our water utility was severely damaged and our city buses were also affected.
Nearly 40 houses and several businesses were destroyed last night in the Starokostiantynivka community due to Russian shelling. According to the city administration, there are no injured civilians there. At the moment, they are dealing with the aftermath of the attacks in Krasiliv.
If only we could at least cover it so the rain doesn't drip in. If there's no house left, go over to that side and see for yourself. What can we do? It's not our fault, and we didn't want this. No one wanted this except Putin. We're left without a home. There are 3 families here, and the 4th just ruins. The whole house is shattered. It can't be repaired.
Right now, they're at least trying to cover the houses to protect them from the rain. People support each other, some with their labor, others with words.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know how much longer this will go on. I don't understand how the whole world can just watch this happen. They allowed this evil to grow. We are the shield for everyone.
Tomorrow they are preparing to say goodbye to the people from Krasilov who were killed.